They criticized the unaffordable water charges, gross errors on bills, and costs of leakage from crumbling infrastructure. A new opinion poll shows Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff is gaining momentum against challenger Lucia Neves ahead of Sunday's runoff election. This is the first time centrist Neves has lost ground against the leftist incumbent since the first round. The two, however, remain neck and neck in a tight race. The Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council said that military support for terrorist groups in the region led to the creation of the ISIL. Ali Shamkhani made the remarks in a meeting with his Russian counterpart, Nikolai Patrushev. He said those countries that armed the terrorists must be held accountable for the atrocities being committed by the ISIL militants. Shamkhani said categorizing anti-Damascus militants into moderate and extremists is impossible and illogical. Nikolai Patrushev, for his part, said that any action to fight terrorism must be based on international law. The Russian official also stressed that Iran has the right to use and develop nuclear technology for civilian purposes, saying that West's dispute with Iran over the country's nuclear program must be settled peacefully. Iran's intelligence minister says the country's security forces have arrested a number of individuals linked to foreign spy agencies. Mahmoud Alavi said the individuals were detained in the southern province of Bushehr. Alavi noted that Bushehr is of great sensitivity, given its location near a number of states which have intelligence objectives in Iran. He also pointed to the arrogant power's policy of spying in other countries by hiring nationals of those countries. He said Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria are among the countries which have fallen victim to this policy. Earlier this month, Alavi revealed that several terrorist plots were foiled and significant quantities of explosives were seized. Iran says some 130 Takfiri militants have been arrested across the country. Global oil prices are facing a downward trend as Saudi Arabia pumps more crude oil into already oversupplied markets. Global oil benchmark Brent crude is selling below $86 a barrel at around 4-year lows. U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate is also levels last seen in 2012. Oil prices are down more than 25% since June. Analysts say the plunge is due to oversupply of crude and reduced demand from the slowing global economy. The Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, is expected to meet on November 27. Experts say that Saudi Arabia is happy with the current trend and can tolerate prices even at around $80. Ukraine's military rejects reports that it has used banned cluster bombs in the 6-month war against pro-Russian forces in the country's east. Human Rights Watch published a report on Monday identifying 12 incidents in which cluster bombs killed 6 people in and around the eastern city of Donetsk earlier this month. The Defense Ministry spokesman on Tuesday dismissed the charges as, quote, groundless. The rights group said the widespread use of such munitions is highly inaccurate as they are spread over a wide area. According to Human Rights Watch, the evidence shows that cluster munitions were, in several cases, fired from the direction of the army-held territory. The use of cluster munitions in populated areas may amount to war crimes. Annual World Health Summit is taking place in the German capital, Berlin. More than 1,000 experts from across the world have gathered in the 3-day event to discuss global health matters. This year's focus is climate change and the Ebola crisis. Luciano Estamina reports from Berlin.
Germany's Foreign Office is hosting the annual World Health Conference. 1,200 renowned medical, scientific, political, and economic experts are discussing global health matters at the 6th edition of the World Health Summit in Berlin. This year's discussions are dominated by the Ebola crisis and climate change. The importance of an international collaboration to deal with Ebola became clear when the summit started with a special symposium on Monday. Next steps concerning the most serious public health crisis in the 21st century were discussed. Walter Lindner, special representative for Ebola, confirmed media reports that Germany is developing a special Ebola plane in which severely infected volunteers can be brought home. Worldwide, there are only 2 jets of that sort, owned by the US company Phoenix Air.
The German Bundeswehr already has evacuation possibilities for early-stage cases. We are working at full speed to provide a possibility for serious cases in a few weeks. If that happens, it will be a big international achievement since there are only very little capacities of this sort.
Another focus of the summit is climate change. According to WHO, between 2030 and 2050, around 250,000 additional deaths per year are expected from malnutrition, malaria, and diarrhea. But people's health in major cities will also be affected.
Well, in big cities, people would be prone to suffering from heat waves, and there's the urban heat island effect, where when you have concrete buildings and black asphalt roads, the heat intensifies, so people die in heat waves. And of course, in Europe, 2003, almost 70,000 people died within 11 days. That's a public health disaster.
Other topics, including physical activity and healthy aging, health coverage, and medical education, were also discussed at the summit. Nurcan Özdemir for Press TV Berlin.
A student protester has died of wounds that he sustained during a crackdown by security forces in the Egyptian city of Alexandria. The 19-year-old student was in critical condition since being hit by live rounds last Wednesday. Hospital officials say that Omar Sharif went into a coma after being shot with bird shots in the head and neck. Dozens of others were also injured on campus as Egyptian riot police used force against students. Human rights observers have slammed the harsh crackdown by Egyptian security forces in the first week of the new academic year. An Israeli firm has announced plans to supply Egypt with natural gas. The plan is turning the tables on the gas supplies in the region, as in the past, Egypt has exported gas to Israel despite public dismay. TV's Karen Galadi reports from Cairo.
The Israeli owner of the Tamar offshore gas field has reported a deal with the Egyptian firm Dolphinus Holdings. A statement from Tamar says it will provide its Egyptian counterpart with up to 2.5 billion cubic meters of gas over a 7-year period. The gas would be sold once there's surplus in Israeli production. According to a statement by Tamar, the prices will be set according to global prices.
It is a shame that Egypt now is importing gas from Israel. So it's better for me to import gas from any other person or from any other country. To decide Israel as the only and sole source of importation of gas, this makes a big question mark.
On this edition of The Debate.
Former President Jimmy Carter has come out of the woodwork, crawled out of the dark shadows of obscurity to criticize Obama for his handling of the ISIS situation. Although Carter is sort of known as a nice guy president, he actually said that Obama was waiting too long and that he should send ground troops to follow up when we do our bombing. The problem is that Obama hasn't waited too long. In fact, his administration, as well as Bush's, have done a fine job of creating right conditions for terrorism in Iraq and Syria. I mean, we all knew when the West started arming anti-Assad rebels in 2013 that those guns would one day be pointed right back at the West, and that day has already come. Also, despite ISIS having the term state in their name, they are not a state. So whom exactly does Carter want to bomb? Should we blow up Iraqi and Syrian infrastructure or occupy their territory with NATO troops just for fun because of some sort of Islamic state with a few thousand members who claims that they are a country? I think that if former President Carter's words are his true feelings and not some sort of tactic, then he seems to be really detached from reality. But sadly, he is not the only one in Washington with those type of delusions. But that's just my opinion.
Thank you for the privilege of your time. See you in the next one. Later.